the first step to loving yourself is to bond with yourself. And you cannot bond with yourself unless you spend time with yourself.
I have spent years struggling with men who couldn't be bothered to do the bare minimum for our dates. And I never even thought much of it because I had no idea what I wanted or how I wanted to be treated like. Enter solo dates. Now, if you think solo dates are just sitting in expensive cafes drinking coffee, you couldn't be more wrong. You need to keep watching this video till the very end because you will be filled with so many ideas on what to do on your next solo date, or you can always steal my ideas. If to do something, you need to first understand why you're doing it. So let me tell you why you need to start solo dating. In today's times, we are always so caught up between work, business, catching up with our loved ones that we never really get the time to sit down and catch up with ourselves. Solo dates force you to take this time out and check in with yourself, with how you're dealing with everything. Also, when you start dating yourself, you come to understand your needs, your wants, how you like to spend your time, how you like to be treated, what your love language is, which is so important when you get in a relationship with anyone else. Most of the times you don't even know what you want in a relationship or how you want to be treated, which is why you settle for the bare minimum. But when you start dating yourself, you are already giving yourself such an amazing treatment all the time, and you're already so happy with the time you spend alone that anyone that enters your life will have to treat you better than you already treat yourself. It automatically raises your standards and you stop settling for people who treat you any less than that. Apart from that, if you're facing any kind of block, be it a creative block, be it some work-related block, spending time with yourself gives you the distraction you need to get back to the focused mode. These states will help clear your head and make you feel more refreshed. And once your head is clear, you are able to think more clearly, and that is why you can also easily get out of your block. Now that we know that this simple practice can help with our relationships with ourselves, with others, and also at work, let me tell you how to do it correctly. The first and most important thing I want you to do is be very honest with yourself. Do you really have no time to spare for yourself, or are you just filling up your time because you don't want to deal with yourself? You cannot be alone. Often we occupy our time with meaningless things because being alone can be really overwhelming and scary. And we're just not used to being alone with our thoughts. But you need to remember, avoiding yourself will only make the distance even greater and make it harder for you to deal with being alone. A situation that is very likely to occur throughout our lives. The sooner you take this step and befriend yourself, the sooner you will wish you started sooner, because your own company is the best company. You know what you like. You know how to treat yourself. Both you and yourself have the same hobbies, have the same likes and dislikes. Simply accepting that you are not busy all the time, you are just scared to make the time for yourself. That is the first step. It will free you, and you will now be in a better position to take accountability instead of mindlessly filling up your time with meaningless things. Next, I want you to pick a day out, any day of your choice, and set an hour within that day. This 1 hour is non-negotiable, so make sure you set it accordingly. In this 1 hour, you will take yourself out. And since this is a real date, I want you to put the same efforts on your makeup, on your appearance, on your clothing as you would on a date with your partner. Just the act of putting all these efforts into your appearance tells your brain that this is important and therefore help you feel more prepared and more ready and more excited for the date. Now, of course, some of our dates can also be indoors and at our homes. And for that, I want you to ask yourself, if your partner was coming over, how would you dress up? The point is to tell your brain that you are equally important and you are worth the efforts that you're always making for others. Now, in your notes app or your notebook, list down these following headings and then fill them up with whatever comes in your head related to these. Of course, I will give you some ideas in a minute, but first try to fill these out by yourself. If you can't figure out, just think, what would you do with your partner under these categories? Or what would your favorite fictional character from a novel or movie do in the following categories? The first is quality time. The second is acts of service. Third is words of affirmations. Fourth is physical touch. And last is gift giving. These are your 5 love languages. Now, you will feel that some categories are easier to fill than others, and that might be because that certain category is your love language. That is what comes most easily to you. For the longest time, I wouldn't go for my solo dates because I would think that it's too expensive to always sit in a cafe every single week. But there's so many more ways to do it. It doesn't have to be expensive. You don't have to go out either. Once you fill out tasks under these headings, you will already have so many ways to solo date. Now, I will give you a hack for those overthinkers who always overthink on which date to go to and end up going nowhere. But before that, let me give you some examples under each task. So for quality time, you can write journaling at your local park. It can be going to the movies alone. It can be going out for simple walks in nature. But remember, no headphones are allowed because you are supposed to be with yourself. If you had a partner with you, would you be putting on headphones and walking? No, you would talk to them. Same way, when you're walking, you need to converse with yourself. You need to be present around you. Once you get more comfortable, you can take a weekend out and go for a solo trip somewhere. For acts of service, you can make yourself a nice meal. You can bake. You can go for a dance class or Pilates or any form of exercise that you enjoy. You can treat yourself to your favorite childhood food. Like for me, I love to make Maggie because it reminds me of the time when we would just sit at home, watch some cartoon and eat Maggie. Or you can just practice an old hobby. Words of affirmations, and I love doing this. It's to pick out your favorite songs that have affirmations in them. I will try to pick out a list and put it in the description and find karaoke and backing tracks for them and do a karaoke session to those songs in front of the mirror. So that's a complete concert. You are serenading yourself with the best manifestation songs and you are affirming and you are already raising your vibration so much. It is the perfect solo date. You can also write yourself letters on things that you like about yourself, on why you love yourself. I have always been a letter girly and I love giving letters to people I love. So I decided that it's about time I write letters to myself as well. So this Valentine's Day, I actually sat down and wrote myself a letter and it was so emotional and so cute. You can also do a photo session at home. So really get dressed up, put a full face of makeup on and do a photo shoot. Feel yourself, have fun with it. Of course, it can be as simple as writing actual affirmations and saying them to yourself in front of a mirror. For physical touch, spend 5 minutes hugging yourself. I'm not kidding. You really need to try this because 5 minutes doesn't sound like much, but trust me, when you do it, there will be so many emotions and it's okay if you want to cry while hugging yourself. It is so therapeutic. Tell me how you felt after it in the comments down below. You can also make yourself a mini tent with curtains or with your mom's dupatta and do a movie night inside it. Make some popcorns, bake a cake or whatever and just sit inside the tent, just watch your movie and enjoy. You can also take an everything shower and do your face masks and full skincare, put on some new nail paint or just go to a park and walk barefoot doing nothing else except feeling how the grass feels on your foot. It feels amazing, trust me. Lastly, for gift giving, and this can be very personal to your own choices, to the things that you enjoy. For me, it's giving myself flowers. It's buying myself roses. You can also take yourself out shopping. You can take yourself to aesthetic cafes or simply make yourself a handmade gift with clay, with crochet, with anything that you enjoy. The point of these dates is to be with yourself and let yourself be open and free. Let your inner child come out if it wants to. Don't tell yourself that you're too old or too young or too anything to do anything that you want to do during this 1 hour. With time, you'll come to know more of what makes you happy and what you enjoy. It will also tell you what kind of dates you enjoy the most. You can always repeat the dates that you really enjoy and try out new things as you go. Now it's time for rules. Now don't worry, these are very easy to follow. You are accountable for yourself. I want you to make sure that you don't break these rules. First is, like I mentioned, you need to be dressed and put the same efforts on your appearance as you would on an actual date. If that includes makeup, do it. If it doesn't, don't do it. Second is, your allotted solo date time can exceed 1 hour, but it cannot be any less than 1 hour. Because initially it will be hard for you to sit by yourself and you will want to get up, your brain will go to a million places and you will just get overwhelmed and you'll want to end the date, but you cannot end it before 1 hour. Trust me, with time it will get easier to be with yourself. Feel free. In fact, I would encourage that you journal your feelings after the first few dates to understand how and where you're struggling in connecting with yourself. Third is, while you're on your date, you are not allowed to bring anyone along physically, digitally, and try mentally as well. So don't use your phone during the date. If you're in a cafe, watch others, listen to some music, doodle, or just be alone with your thoughts. I like to talk to myself in my head now. So if I'm in a cafe and I will talk to myself about how I haven't heard that song that's playing in a really long time, or how that guy is always looking somewhere else while that girl is constantly making eye contact with him. I in fact noticed this so many times that now I think it is a thing that girls make more eye contact than guys. But this is the kind of conversation I have in my head bed when I'm on my solo dates. And these random conversations have now become so comfortable that even if I'm in a room full of strangers or if I'm in a situation where I'm alone or uncomfortable, I can just easily step in myself and I can just talk to myself. It's like having a best friend with yourself all the damn time. We even laugh together. Now I understand initially it can be a bit overwhelming to just sit there and your brain will constantly scare you about what others are thinking about you. That's completely normal. So it's okay if you check your phone once in a while, every now and then, during the initial stages of your date. But make sure you are telling yourself that, dude, you picked up your phone again. Just imagine you're on a date with a guy and he's constantly picking up his phone. You will tell that to him, right? That, dude, can you stop picking up your phone? Do that with yourself as well, so that even if out of discomfort you do pick up your phone, at least you will notice it. Just acknowledging the fact that you keep checking your phone can help you avoid it the next time. Otherwise, people are always mindlessly scrolling on their phones. When you start doing this and when you're sitting alone, it is very normal for your brain to bring out unwanted and hidden thoughts, and that's a good thing, because when these thoughts come to the surface, you can deal with them. You can either journal about them, you can either, if they are too overwhelming, you can always seek a therapist or a professional, and you can also just talk to those thoughts. At this point, I like to do that. If I'm sitting alone and if there's any negative thought that's coming out, I will just talk to it. I will just ask myself why I'm feeling a certain way and how I can make myself feel better. And of course, I like to journal about it later, and I usually find the solution as well. And it makes me feel lighter every time. But if you feel overwhelmed, you can always try to focus it on something else, on someone else, or you can simply talk to yourself like I do. Fourth is take pictures and or vlog your journey. Now this is optional. It is up to you if you want to do it or not. But I really do feel like when you do this, it can really romanticize the event for you. But please don't spend the entire date recording yourself. Just take the first 5 minutes to take pictures of your food or whatever, and then just be present with yourself. Fifth is let your child play. If you suddenly get this urge to go swing on the swing in the park, go do it. If you're reading a book and you want to fold a page because you don't have a bookmark, do it. If you want to make a heart on your coffee like a barista, even if it's bad, do it. The point here is to connect with yourself, and that means also connecting with your inner child. And it can't happen if you keep shutting that child again and again. Allow yourself to have fun, whatever the definition of fun is for you, as long as it's not hurting anyone else. But whatever else it is that you consider fun, go do it. Allow yourself to be happy, and that's a rule. Now let me tell you my hack. If you overthink where to take yourself and it gets really overwhelming for you, make a solo date jar. Let me tell you what it is. Basically, you write down all your solo date ideas, the ones you picked from your love languages before, and you take a paper, you write them down, you cut them down, you make slips of them, and you put it in any container or any jar. Make sure these are practical and ideas that you can actually put into action. So don't put baking if you don't have a baking oven. Now, every time you have to go for your solo date, take that jar out, shuffle it, randomly pick out any single note, and do whatever comes out. That is why it is important to put only practical ideas in that jar, so that every time you pick out any random note, you are able to do that in the moment. This will save you from any stress in picking out your solo date. Keep adding more ideas in that box, and you can always remove if you tried something and it just didn't align with you. So if you tried to go on a reading date but you just got bored and you didn't enjoy it, remove it for now. This is a dedicated time for you not to learn new things, but to spend time doing things that you do love. Having said that, if you do feel like you want to give reading or any other activity for that matter another shot, feel free to do that. Nothing is set in stone here. You are constantly evolving and you are allowed to try new things and to enjoy things that you didn't enjoy before. A lot of us feel like we can't enjoy something because we once said we hated that. That is not the case here. If you want to try something that you hated before, feel free to do it. Who knows, you might end up loving it. Because these solo dates will bring out this new version of you that is more open to experiences, that is more open to new things. Now that brings us to the end of this video. Let me know if you enjoyed this video and what your solo date plans are. Remember, the first step to loving yourself is to bond with yourself. And you cannot bond with yourself unless you spend time with yourself. You will only keep adding more distance if you keep avoiding yourself. Solo dates are just to cut that gap and bring yourself back in connection with yourself. All the very best on your solo date journey, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.